In this video, I will talk about one of the most fascinating places on Earth, in my opinion, Siberia. There's a lot of mystery. There's a lot of things that have happened there. There's a lot of things that were going on that are, in my opinion, very interesting. So I will make a short video, which will probably end up becoming a long video, about Siberia. I'll first start with Tunguska, which is in Siberia, where a explosion, say 5 miles up, a giant fireball explosion happened right up above the Siberian area of Tunguska. And it's very interesting. I mean, this happened, I think, in 1927. You have these Siberian Eskimo type, almost like Native American type people who were in their little yurts and their wigwam type huts, and all of a sudden some of these people thrown in the air from this explosion, this impact. Some people claim this to actually see trees go down towards them, and it's all kinds of things. I mean, it's a pretty crazy story. When people said they felt the actual impact and like it shook them, and that they felt their insides and pain, and there's all kinds of weird things that they said. It's quite scary for these people. I mean, these are people who are almost like the movie Gods Must Be Crazy, where they didn't like really know very much about the outside world, and all of a sudden there's just like this crazy boom explosion going on. They don't even know what the fuck's going on because it's said that it killed 80 million trees, and it took up, I think they said, something like 800 square miles. And I mean, these trees were actually scorched, and they were up in the air, most of them. And there's so many weird theories about it. I mean, they think there's a meteoroid that actually blew up in the sky, and then there's other theories that say it was in fact a comet. I mean, then there's other ones that say it was almost damage was very similar to the atomic bomb damage that was seen at Hiroshima. So theories that it was a Russian early atomic bomb, or that it was an alien explosion. I mean, this explosion impact was 1,000 times greater than Hiroshima, and nearly as powerful as the most powerful nuclear weapon ever used by mankind. And that some people think it was an alien spacecraft that blew up 5 miles above the thing. Some people say the alien spacecraft came for water and then it blew up. And then some people say that the aliens are testing nuclear bombs. I mean, some people think it's this miniature black hole came into the Earth's atmosphere and it caused the explosion. And there's more and more and more crazy theories about it. But right now they say that likely it was a meteoroid, because they found excess of carbon in the area of the impact, and carbon is known to be in high amounts in meteoroids, so it's thought that it was likely caused by a meteoroid. There's also been, since that, interesting, like I said sometimes before, disasters usually cause progression, and sometimes what we see as a bad end is in fact a new beginning and room for progression and change. You have to get to a point where there's a change, and then you can progress. But the tree growth since Tunguska has caused excessive trees in these beautiful forests that are far more lush than anywhere else in the region. And they think that either one is because of the clear cutting, or of the trees just taken out, or two, that it was the excessive carbon from the meteoroid has given energy to the trees. And it's just very interesting. And most likely it was a meteoroid. And they think that it hit the atmosphere, blew up, and that there were other craters, and that almost like it blew up and pieces of it flew down to the ground. I think that's the most likely explanation. And now that Tunguska's out, I'll talk about Mr. Number 2, Mr. Rasputin, who is one of the most notorious Russian mystics to ever live. I mean, this guy, I'm not going to get too much into his mystics. He's from Siberia. But I mean, I'm gonna get more into the psychology. I mean, this guy, he was like almost like seen as like a caveman. Like, he would come into towns and he would just like eat with his hands, and he would just like gobble shit, and he would just go around and say he wanted to have a woman and just like fucking like take them right there. Like, he had no manners, and people are like, what the fuck is wrong with this Siberian like ape like thing guy? And they're like, what the hell? He just comes here and he says, and just grabs a woman and just does what he wants and like eats with his hands like a fucking caveman. And people are like, what the fuck? But I mean, so much mystic. I mean, the guy is like a pimp. The guy was always surrounded by a lot of women. And if you do a Google search, image search for Rasputin's penis, you can see the supposed trait, and it's like this like huge thing, and it's supposedly put in a jar in Russia. And I think like many people claim to have Rasputin's penis, which is just crazy. Like, who the fuck would do it? Like, I have the missing penis of Rasputin. It's in his jar. Like, people are fucking insane. Well, yeah, he was like a pimp. I mean, he always had ladies. He would have like 5 ladies around him, and he was like a pimp, the dude. And this guy would just like eat chicken with his fucking hands and be like, bah! Just fucking like still have like 5 girls around him, like potting his shit. So it's like crazy. But I mean, the craziest thing of all about Rasputin is how this guy fucking survived. I mean, they shot the fucking dude. They would beat the fuck out of him. I mean, they like tried to drown the fucker. The fucker had ice crystals in his fucking lungs that came out from all this shit. I mean, the fucker was shot, beat up, and fucking, I mean, like, hit over the head with shit, thrown into a river where his lungs would have crystallized with crystals, and the fucker gets out and fucking survives. And only later on they said they tried to drown him again, and he did die. And people don't even believe that. I mean, people think that he's immortal and he's still alive. I mean, I've seen supposed pictures where they think he's still alive and they're still around. And I mean, it's pretty crazy. I mean, by the scientific standpoint, the guy shouldn't have survived. And he had lung crystals of ice in the Russian coal being drowned, and by scientific standpoint, there's no reason why he should have survived that. So it's quite insane. I mean, it really fucking is. And then I will talk about another thing in Siberia. They have something in Siberia called an alma or almasty. They're both, I guess, the same term. I don't know what the hell. Probably one's Italian and one's French. Who knows what the fucking story is? But they're almost like a Sasquatch, and they're about the size of a human, and they're covered in lush red hair, almost like an orangutan kind of, built like an orangutan kind of too, with a big stocky build. And that supposedly these almas live in Siberia, and they kind of are like almost like a little different, a little more human-like. They say they're a little more human-like, and that they go around in Siberia, and that they live there, and it's pretty fucking crazy. I mean, that this supposed sightings, and there actually was an almasty or alma called Zena, which actually reproduced with a man, had offspring with a Russian guy, which I don't know. I mean, that guy must have been pretty desperate to fuck some hairy ape-like girl. And they had offspring together, and it's actually thought that these are people, long-lost Neanderthals that got stuck in Siberia, which actually really does make sense, to be honest. I mean, it is likely that small fringe Neanderthals could have got isolated in Siberia and never really got touched by other humans. I mean, it actually does make sense, to be honest. I mean, they have a legit point, and this guy had kids with this ape-like almasty creature. I mean, this lady was filled with all red hair and just like a furry body, like an orangutan with red hair, and they had kids, and which is strange. It gives them more Neanderthal-like opinion about it, because it is like if Neanderthals did live today, that they would be able to reproduce with us, because the lion and the tiger are in fact even further separated than humans, and they can still reproduce, as does with some other creatures such as coyotes and wolves, who are even farther separated apart than Neanderthals were from humans. So it is extremely logical that Neanderthals would be able to reproduce with humans, and it's very odd. I mean, they said that some master was tied up or whatever, and then she hated clothes. They tried to put clothes on her, and she fucking hated it. She would just take the clothes off, rip them, and she like beat people up and shit. And it's pretty fucking insane. I mean, I wouldn't put it past it. I mean, there's no reason to say that it's not impossible for there to be Neanderthals in Siberia. I mean, there's nothing that says there can't be. And here's another event. There's a event of orange snow that was in